Greetings everyone, welcome to Just Advance. And Fabiano Caruana has been on absolute fire in these tournament in St. Louis Rapid and Blitz. He's absolutely crushing everyone. Ahead of the day two, his score is I think 10 out of all the six matches he's played. It's absolutely insane the way he's been playing, and I think he's had just two draws and he's crushed everyone else. And I mean, this is absolutely insane. The first game he played with actually Wesley So, and I wanted to show you these games. I mean, we're not going to get too much because I'm only going to be showing deciding game. This is the first game was actually drawn against Wesley So, just putting it out there. But because this line is just so beautiful, and I think I could be wrong, but I think Fabiano Caruana has been secretly playing for candidates and trying to get the World Chess Championship, because this is not something, either it's from the old when he challenged Magnus Carlsen, or either he's been trying to get through it again, because this is absolutely insane. E4 C5 knight to F3 E6 D4 C captures knight to 6 is going for the Taimano variation. But now after knight to C3 we don't see the knight off, we see knight to F6, and this is him playing with the black pieces, so he's allowing knight to b5, and also that would disrupt the entire flow. And so Wesley with the white pieces goes for it, but just bishop to c5. And there is such insane positions. Like, what you want to do normally is you want to play d6. This is the old line, four knights variation of the Sicilian. After bishop to f4 you play e5, bishop moves, now you play a6. So a6 is an eventual part of this, and after knight to a3 you play b5, just trying to win a piece. But after bishop captures, pawn captures, you have to go pawn captures, simply because of the fact that if the knight jumps in, that will come with the tempo on the queen. So here after knight to d5, bishop to g7, bishop to d3, now you play knight to e7, knight captures, queen captures, and play maybe a move like c4, castles, f5. And now slowly but surely, black is going to improve. Black has to get the bishop into the game, and both plays are fine. But here after bishop to c5, now you can see this is a possibility. And not only that, that if you capture and I capture and you decide to ask for a queen trade, then also bishop comes in. So what do you have in plan against that? So Fabi shows excellent resilience, because he knows what he's doing. He went for this line specifically because he knows what he's doing. Knight to d6 check, king to e7, and just going for this bishop to f4, e5. Now obviously this was going to come around somewhere. Now just comes this knight to f5 check, king to f8, now bishop to g5, d6, and just developing the bishop to c4. You could also go for this knight to e3 line. I mean, just get the knight there to get some more pin in. Bishop to e6, knight to e5, and bishop captures, e captures, knight to e7. And after bishop captures, g captures, you can see that the queen will jump in, and most likely, black will be fine. But I mean, no one would purposely go for these lines unless they know what they're doing. So definitely Fabi's preparing something. It's like you prepare all these openings for candidates and for the World Chess Championship. Then after a while, when when you want to test it out, you just test out little parts of it, not the complete preparation, and it just feels like this is it. A d6, but after d6, you could, as I showed, knight to e3, a very powerful move, trying to remaneuver the knight. But always you've seen there's a move with the knight back is always difficult to find. So here bishop to c4 was played, just developing and going for castles, but bishop to e6. Now what do? If you trade, then I get the massive center. I can put the king here, I can get the rook into the game, so game is absolutely fine for me. But bishop back to b3, not trading anything. h6, bishop captures, queen captures, and now just castles. Bishop caps on f5, and just not recapturing right away, but throwing this in this switch and sook, just attacking the queen. And now the queen needs to move, so queen goes back to g6, but just e captures, and queen captures, but now just comes the c3, knight to e7, asking for more trades in this position, but just king to h1, not trading more pieces, because if you trade more, king gets into the center, your rooks gets connected. Yes, that king is a little bit weak there, but you have to understand, once you connect the rooks, once you get this rook out of the way, you can just always get back and get your king to safety. So that's not an issue. Rook to b8, but just queen to d2, knight caps on e5, queen captures, but now just coming for this g6, and finally just rook a e1, king to g7, f4, and e captures, queen captures, g captures. Now everything has been traded off. We're left with this broken position of black, which is actually still a draw. I mean, surprisingly enough, it's still a draw. There is nothing that white could do that could actually eventually give you something. I mean, even this doesn't work, because you just get the rook into the game. There is no issue here. Rook caps on f4 was played, rook gets to e8, and just rook f to e1. Not capturing it right away. I mean, capturing it right away doesn't give you that much as it should, although it's double pawns. But then actually it was tripled pawns, but now it's double pawns, so it doesn't give that much, because here after rook to e5, you get rook captures, rook captures, rook captures, and now just goes for f6, just not allow that capture to occur. G captures, rook to e8, bishop to c4, rook to e5, rook captures, f captures, and just going for this b6. king to g2, bishop to e3, and just king to f3. And now just going for this bishop to c1, b3, bishop to d2, c4. And now this is a dead draw. I mean, there is no reason for me to even calculate it. We have opposite colored bishops. Even if you're up a pawn or a down a pawn, it doesn't actually matter because it's still going to be a draw. King to f6, bishop, king to e4, a5, bishop to c6, bishop to b4, bishop to d5, and here just both players decided to go for a draw. But then again, I mean, this was incredible, incredible way to actually show some resilience, going for a very different line. Just putting the king on f8 is absolutely crazy. Yeah, now let's just check out the second game. Second game was against Sam Shankland, but definitely he played it up with absolute perfection, and this time he goes for a decent line: e4, c5, and just knight to f3, d6, d4. And he's playing with the black pieces, so he's playing with the white pieces, so this one he wanted to go for a win. Knight captures, going for the Sicilian open variation: knight to f6, knight to c3, a6, going for the knight off variation, a6 we play this time, f4, immediately striking in the center, also called the Amsterdam variation. But these kinds of, I mean, names are just in every move, if you look for a name, it would be a different name. So I mean, this is just almost unnecessary at this point. I think knight off is fine. e5, knight to f3, knight bd7, a4, bishop to e7, bishop to c4, and castles. And white does have this bishop. You could put it back, you could just castle here, you could also just develop the bishop, get the queen here, and castle queenside. But once you go for a4 kind of idea, castling queenside could be a bit of an issue. So most players just to choose to castle kingside, and that's exactly what Fabi goes for here. Queen to b6 check was played immediately. I mean, you have to be almost every time be careful. If there's a knight jump like this and you have this open diagonal, then you're just getting cooked. King to h1, e captures, but just bishop capture. And now just going for queen captures. Now he went for this queen caps on b2, but you have to understand, is this a situation where it's a poison pawn or it's just free pawn? Because here just queen to e1 was played, but now just queen back queen to b6. Now not going for any of that. Rook to d1, queen to c7, and now just bishop to b4. Knight jumps in, and now just knight to d4, not allowing to trade more pieces because he's definitely looking for a win in this position. Bishop to g4, attacking the rook, rook to b1, and now rook c8. Definitely putting a lot of pressure here, but it doesn't matter because now you can just move the knight wherever you want to. Just knight to d5, knight captures, bishop captures, knight to c6, asking for more trades. But this is not a good move by Sam Shankland, because queen to g3. And now what do you do here? h5 was tried, but you have to understand there's a lot of pressure. I mean, this is a pressure. This is not a good move, because simply because of the fact that you can just play h3, maybe just get the knight into the game. I mean, that bishop is helping out with the defense, but it's not doing enough. c3. Now just comes this queen to d8, rook jumps in, and now just knight caps on d4. But just now here c captures, bishop to e2. And the best way after bishop to h6 to play in this variation is, I mean, you're getting checkmated, so you have to do something about this, either this or that. But then again, the best way is just bishop to g4, get the bishop back. I know h3 is coming, but g captures, and now you capture with the h pawn. Rook to c7, asking for a rook trade. You don't want to trade right away. First you play the g captured swish and sook, just in between move. King to h8, and just now get the rook to b3. Maybe you can try and double up, but you'll always have this, so that doesn't matter. But still, white is better, because simply because of the fact your king side is absolutely shattered, and I'll be able to well, annoy you even after the queens get traded off. Let's say king to h2, rook to c1, rook f2, f3, f6, rook to b7, and now again rook to c7, rook to b6, queen to e8, just capturing that pawn. I could shift entire thing towards the king side, though it looks like it's unbreakable. But I can just push that pawn, get the bishop there, and that pawn will always annoy you as far as long as you can remember, and it's going to be very much annoying to deal with. So white is definitely better. But here after bishop to h6, bishop to f6 was played, and now it becomes even more difficult for Sam Shankland to actually defend this position, because bishop caps on f7. And that's a beautiful tactic, because now after king to h8, you cannot capture. If you're thinking about we can just capture this, your position absolutely crumbles apart, simply because, well, just rook captures, and now you can just resign here. I mean, there is nothing to do, simply because you have to understand that this rook is eyeing x-raying your king, and this is actually a mate in 11 moves if you capture. Now once you capture, you get just this, sorry, not that obviously, but you just get queen captures on g7. And now whatever you do, I mean, the things are not looking that good for you, because let's say you try to go that, then this rook sacrifice, queen comes in, you get this check, king moves, and after this, I mean, you just lose the queen. So the position is absolutely lost here. You cannot do, there is no no double standards about this. Bishop caps on f7, you cannot capture. So king to h8 was played, but now just comes bishop caps on h5. You've just lost 2 pawns for absolutely nothing. I mean, you can capture the piece, but that's still not going to work out for you well for you. But it just rook caps on c7, queen captures, bishop caps on e2, and just going for g captures, but just bishop caps on a6. And now Fabi is actually up, I don't know how many pawns. Fabi's up almost 3 pawns now. One is an outside pass pawn. I mean, you cannot hold this position. Queen to b6 was played, queen to d3, king to g7, and just e5. D captures, bishop to e7, rook captures, king captures, and now just going for queen to f5, bishop to g7, bishop to c4, queen to g6. Asking for a queen trade is one of the worst things that you can do, but still, there is nothing in this position. Otherwise, you're just getting checkmated. Queen captures on g6, and it was on this move, on move 36, that Sam Shankland resigned the game, and Fabiano Caruana goes up the board in the second match of the day, and he has up 8 points now. That's absolutely insane. So let's check out the third and the final game. On third and the final game is going to be pretty amazing, because Fabi is going to be playing Levon Aronian, who's just second there in the points table. So it's going to be very much difficult for Fabi, or maybe it's just going to be a high stakes game. You never know. So this is definitely going for a win. D4 by Fabi, knight to f6, c4, e6, and knight to c3, going for the East Indian defense. We have d5, c captures, e captures, and bishop to g5, bishop to b4, but just going for e3. We have h6, bishop to h4, g5, and now just going for bishop to g3 back, and h5, and now just queen to b3, but just bishop caps on c3, and just b captures, and now even h4. I mean, this is definitely preparation. For any of you wondering, this is not over the board find, and this is not over the board annoyance. This is not playing aggressively. This is preparation. Bishop to e5, but knight bd7, knight to f3, knight captures, and now just going for h3. It's absolutely insane how far preparation can actually take you. Rook to g1, c6, and now just going for a g4. G4 is a beautiful find by Fabi. Either it's a beautiful find, or either it's his preparation. I mean, I don't know. Till move 50, I think they prepare for, like, I don't know, move 30 or something. But if this is preparation, this is great. If it's on the mode find, it's absolutely a great resource that he has. Queen to c7 now. You cannot capture that pawn. It is defended by the knight and the rook, so you don't have to worry about it. f4 now by Fabi, weakening his king side, and saying that maybe I'll be castling queen side, or maybe I'll just be keeping the king in the center. You never know. Bishop to e6, rook to b1, and now just b6. Now Levon might be interested in castling queen side, so Fabi is going to play according to that only. Rook to b2, g captures, and now just e captures. We have knight to e4. That knight is a beautiful piece, but you need some other pieces to coordinate with that piece to be able to attack, and currently Levon doesn't have any. Here just bishop to d3, rook to g8, rook to f1, and just f6, just pushing the knight back. Bishop captures, f captures, and here just f captures on e5. Rook captures on g4, but pushing the rook back. Rook to g5, and rook b to f2. We have a queenside castle by Levon, and now these ideas become available, but this bishop needs to be a little bit more active, and that cannot happen unless you create some sort of weakness. Push those pawns. Bishop to e2, but now just gets this rook to g2, rook to f6, queen to d7, and now here we have rook 1 to f2, king to b7, but just queen to a3, and now just going for a5, queen to d6, queen captures, going for e captures, rook to e8, and this pass pawn, I mean, it could be eliminated, but you have to be very much careful as to if if it goes further, the position could be absolutely lost. King to f1, but just rook to g5, and now just going for this bishop to d3, bishop to d7, rook to f7. Now the rooks are joining the party. Rook king to c8, rook to e7, but just king to d8, rook to h7, and there is a very important move, very important defensive resource that you have to find in this game for you to be able to draw it. So I'm going to ask you to pause this video and look at it from an objective point of view. What is the one thing that you fear in this position that could actually come true and your game could be lost? So have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find the move. The move is obviously this: doubling up on the 7th rank. That's everyone keeps telling you. If you have the rooks on the 7th rank, your opponent's game is almost already over, or it's draw. So here you have to understand that if you can get that in, I mean, the game is pretty much over. You cannot get the rook here, so I mean, how are you ever going to try out something? You might be thinking, rooks are already just there occupying these files. Maybe this is some sort of counterplay. There isn't. Let me tell you, there isn't. There is only one move in this position that saves you, and that move is, if you want to pause, but I'm just showing it, rook g to g8. The idea is, after rook f to f7, you have this, and because of the king being on the f file, you're able to trade the rooks, and your bishop is not falling. So that's the idea, because here after king to f2, you play rook caps on f7, rook captures, bishop goes here, and once the rook goes here, slowly but surely the position will be absolutely equal. You just capture here, give a few checks, king goes back, and now you put the rook behind the pass pawn. You can never push, neither can you push this, and the game, because king just jumps in, and there's no actual threat in this position, and most likely it's going to end in a draw. But here, after rook to h7, now here b5 was played, and this just completely blunders the game because of the same reasons I told you. Rook f to f7, and now there's no defense. Bishop to e6 was played, rook to a7, but now just comes this rook to f8, bishop to e2, bishop to g4. Now just going for this bishop to c8. You have to keep the bishop along this diagonal only, simply because of the fact otherwise you just get checkmated. d7 was tried, and it was on this move, on just move 41. Levon Aronian resigned the game, and Fabi got the spectacular victory. Now he's holding the first position, sole leader of the tournament, ahead 2 points of Levon Aronian, and 6 points, 4 points of Gukesh. So this is going to be absolutely insane of what happens next, and he's most likely going to win the tournament. But let's see what happens in the blitz section, because anything can happen in blitz. So we'll see. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, and showing all the games almost of just a few people, because Fabi's games were so much amazing that I wanted to show you all the lines. So that's why I decided to do that. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you.